October 15th, 2020. 6:47 a.m., Houston, Texas. Robert Brockman woke up to the sound of his doorbell. Then pounding. Then voices. FBI, open the door! Within minutes, 20 federal agents were inside his $30 million mansion. They had a warrant. They were looking for evidence. Evidence of what he'd been hiding for 15 years. $43 million, hidden in offshore accounts, in countries most Americans couldn't find on a map. This is his story. And if you think offshore banking is safe, anonymous, or smart, you need to hear what happened next. This is based on one of the largest tax evasion cases in US history. Real court documents, real FBI raids, real consequences. I'm going to tell you exactly how Robert Brockman built his empire. How he hid $43 million from the IRS. How the FBI found him, and what it cost him. Robert Brockman was a genius. Not just smart, a legitimate genius. In the 1970s, he founded Reynolds & Reynolds, a software company that provided technology to car dealerships across America. By the 1990s, his company was worth hundreds of millions. By the 2000s, over $1 billion. Brockman himself was worth an estimated $1.5 billion. He lived in Houston's most exclusive neighborhood. He owned multiple properties, private jets, art collections. He donated millions to charities. He had buildings named after him at universities. On paper, Robert Brockman was the American dream, a self-made billionaire, a philanthropist, a respected businessman. But Robert Brockman had a secret that started small and grew into something he couldn't control. It started in 1999. Brockman's company was growing fast. He was making tens of millions in profits every year. And like many wealthy Americans, he started thinking about taxes. How much was he paying? Too much, in his opinion. Federal taxes, state taxes, capital gains. It added up to millions every year. So Brockman did what many rich people do. He hired expensive accountants, tax attorneys, advisors who specialized in tax optimization. They showed him something interesting, something legal at first. International business structures, holding companies in low-tax jurisdictions, perfectly legal ways to reduce his tax burden. But somewhere along the way, Brockman crossed a line. He didn't just want to reduce his taxes, he wanted to eliminate them completely. In 2000, Brockman opened his first offshore account, not in his name, in the name of a company, a shell company, registered in Bermuda. The company had no employees, no office, no actual business. It existed only on paper. And it existed for one purpose: to hide money. Here's how it worked. Brockman would transfer money from his US business to this Bermuda company. On paper, it looked like a legitimate business transaction, a service fee, a licensing agreement, a consulting payment. But in reality, it was just moving his money offshore, away from the IRS, away from US taxes. The first year, he moved $2 million. The IRS didn't notice. The second year, $5 million. Still nothing. By year 3, he was moving $10 million a year. And Brockman got greedy. He didn't stop at one shell company. He created dozens. In Bermuda, in the Cayman Islands, in Nevis, in Belize, each company owned by another company. A web so complex that even forensic accountants would struggle to untangle it. Brockman even created fake identities. He used encrypted email. He communicated with his offshore bankers using code names. His code name? Permit. His offshore bankers' code name? King. They thought they were untouchable. They thought encryption made them invisible. They were wrong. By 2010, Brockman had successfully hidden $43 million in offshore accounts. Money that should have been taxed. Money the IRS knew nothing about. He used that money to buy real estate in the Caribbean, to invest in hedge funds, to live a life of luxury that his reported income couldn't support. And for years, he got away with it. But empires built on lies always crumble eventually. The first crack appeared in 2016. A man named Robert Smith, not a criminal, not an IRS agent, a billionaire, a private equity CEO, one of the richest black men in America. Robert Smith had his own offshore accounts, his own tax problems. And in 2016, the IRS caught him. They had evidence. They had documents. They had him. The IRS gave Smith a choice: go to prison or cooperate. Help us catch bigger fish. Smith chose cooperation. And the biggest fish he knew? Robert Brockman, his former business partner, his former friend. Smith told the IRS everything. The shell companies, the encrypted emails, the code names, the banks, the accounts, everything. For 4 years, from 2016 to 2020, the IRS built their case, quietly, carefully. They tracked every transaction, every wire transfer, every email. They obtained warrants. They subpoenaed banks in Bermuda, the Cayman Islands, Switzerland. They worked with international law enforcement. They used blockchain forensics to track cryptocurrency transactions Brockman had made. They built a case so strong that even Brockman's army of lawyers couldn't fight it. October 15th, 2020, the day the FBI came knocking. Brockman opened the door. 20 agents entered. They had a 39-count indictment: tax evasion, wire fraud, money laundering, conspiracy, destruction of evidence. The maximum penalty? Over 100 years in federal prison. The agents searched everything: his computers, his phones, his safes, his files. They found encrypted hard drives. They found documents he'd tried to destroy. They found evidence of everything. That same day, the Department of Justice held a press conference. They announced it publicly. The largest individual tax evasion case in U.S. history. $43 million in hidden income. $1.4 billion in unpaid taxes when you included penalties and interest. Robert Brockman, the billionaire philanthropist, was now Robert Brockman, federal criminal defendant. The trial was scheduled for 2021, but it never happened. In 2022, Brockman's lawyers revealed something. He had dementia, advanced dementia. He couldn't stand trial. Some people thought it was convenient, a billionaire suddenly too sick to face justice. But medical experts confirmed it. The stress, the investigation, the pressure, it had destroyed him mentally. In 2023, Robert Brockman died, age 82. He never spent a day in prison, but he lost everything else. His company? Forced to pay hundreds of millions in fines. His reputation? Destroyed. His name? Removed from buildings. His family? Left to deal with the financial and legal aftermath. The IRS seized his offshore accounts. They placed liens on his properties. They froze his assets. His estate is still fighting legal battles. And Robert Smith, the man who turned him in? He got immunity. He walked free. He's still a billionaire today. So what can you learn from Robert Brockman's case? First, offshore accounts are not invisible. The IRS has treaties with nearly every country. They can and will get your banking information. Switzerland, Bermuda, Cayman Islands, none of them are safe anymore. Second, encryption doesn't protect you. The FBI has tools to crack encryption. They have forensic experts. They have time. If they want your data, they will get it. Third, whistleblowers are everywhere. Business partners, accountants, bankers, employees. Anyone who knows your secret can turn on you. And the IRS pays whistleblowers, up to 30% of what they recover. That's millions of dollars. People will talk. Fourth, the IRS never forgets. They investigated Brockman for 4 years. 4 years of silence before they struck. If you think you got away with something, you didn't. They're just building the case. Fifth, there is no amount of money worth this. Brockman was already a billionaire. He could have paid his taxes and still lived in luxury. Instead, he died a broken man, his legacy destroyed, his name synonymous with fraud. Here's what offshore account holders need to understand. The world changed. In 2010, the U.S. passed FATCA, the Foreign Account Tax Compliance Act. It requires foreign banks to report U.S. account holders to the IRS. Every major bank in the world complies, because if they don't, they lose access to U.S. financial markets. There is no such thing as a secret offshore account anymore. The IRS knows. They're just deciding when to act. If you have unreported offshore accounts, you have one option: voluntary disclosure. The IRS has a program. You come forward. You pay back taxes and penalties, but you avoid criminal prosecution. Brockman didn't do that. He thought he was smarter than the system. He wasn't. The bottom line: you cannot hide from the IRS. You cannot outsmart them. You cannot wait them out. They have unlimited resources, unlimited time, and unlimited determination. Pay your taxes. All of them. Report everything. Or lose everything. This case is pulled directly from Department of Justice press releases, federal indictments, and court records. Robert Brockman's case is public record. You can look it up yourself. United States versus Robert T. Brockman. It's all there. If this story just saved you from making the worst decision of your life, do two things. First, subscribe to this channel. I break down real IRS cases every single week. Cases that will shock you. Cases that will educate you. Cases that could save you. Second, if you have offshore accounts or unreported income, talk to a tax attorney immediately. Not tomorrow. Today. Every day you wait is another day of evidence, another day of penalties, another day closer to an FBI raid. The IRS is watching, and they already know more than you think.